It's Wednesday Wrestling, and you know what that means. We got New Japan Pro Wrestling, MLW, but also we got AEW Dynamite. So let's review and discuss about it on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I'm your host, J Rods here. So, let's begin with New Japan Pro Wrestling with their latest event they have. This one is not the Road to Dudaku Wrestling, but this one is called Wrestling Satsuma no Koni. This one took place on the 28th at another venue of this month. Opening match, we have the two young lions, Yuya Uemura and Yota Tsuji, taking on a Gabriel Kidd and Tiger Mask. As you know, sometimes you don't get much excited when you get to see the young lions, but sometimes you get impressed what they do in this particular match. Um, we normally have seen Uemura and Tsuji always face off each other, but this time they teamed up against Kidd and Tiger Mask. But in this particular match, this is where you notice that Tsuji is ready to graduate, but he's waiting for that one opportunity against Naito. That is one match that he definitely wants. But you know what Naito said? Tranquilo. So basically, he won the match, but we don't know when he'll have that big match that he's asking for. Next match, we have uh, Suzuki-gun, consistent of Doiki, Zack Sabre Jr., Taichi taking on Bullet Club's Yado, Tangaloa, and Tama Tonga. As you know, the rivalry between these two teams is it's having high-rise tensions in every aspect due to the fact that we know that there's going to be the moments where they are going to be in that ladder match for the Iron Fingers, but also Tonga wants to face Zack Sabre Jr. in a one-on-one match where if he beats him, he gets another shot of the of the IWGP heavyweight titles. But however, last time we saw that Bullet Club won due to disqualification. No, that Suzuki-gun won due to disqualification by the Bullet Club, and now it's the reverse. The Taichi and the other Suzuki members got themselves disqualified, allowing for Bullet Club to win. And as you know, the rivalry continues. They put on a very interesting promo, the same kind of message that they would want to send. As you know, they consider that they are the ones that will purify the tag team division, but we gotta wait and see when that day happens. Next match, we got Bullet Club members Geto, Taiji Shimori, and Yujiro taking on Master Wato, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. As you know, there's no steroid buildup, but however, Geto is representing the Switchblade, who we haven't seen for quite some time. He set the face against Tanahashi for the Never Openweight Championship. This is going to be a very... I can tell you in this particular match, it kind of wasn't that much of a buildup since there was no Jay White, but I can tell he ended with Tanahashi putting the Texas Cloverleaf, which was his famous, his well-known effective submission move, and it kind of works. So as you know, I wasn't too pumped on this one, but that's how it goes. Next match, we have Lij, Bushi, Sanada, Naito, and Takagi taking on the United Empires, Cobb, Henare, Khan, and Ospreay. As you know, the United Empire continues to be a strong faction, but of course we know Shingo has a lot on his plate, knowing that he has to face against a very new type of a person like Ospreay. But do we think he has a chance to win the title? We don't know. We know he has been making better heavyweights ever since becoming never open weight, and this is an opportunity to become champion. But however, the match went in favor when Jeff Cobb put Bushi once again in the Tour of the Islands. The next match is for the KOP 2021 trophy in a blindfold match between Evil and Toru Yano. In this particular match, there was more comedy. As you know, Yano's been pulling every trick in the book to win. So did Evil, even though there were moments where the moment where Dick Togo, Evil's pareja, actually turned off the lights once again. But this match kind of went really everywhere, and Yano would do whatever it takes to maintain the titles. But luckily, he did when he gave the low blow to Evil, as he always does. As Kevin Kelly would say, my monitor went out. So basically, referee didn't see it, and of course, Kevin would say, my monitor went out. But that's what happened. So Yano retained the KOPW the trophy. So we'll see who will be his next challenger down the line. Next match we have for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles between of the previous champions and who are currently the challengers, Suzuki Goons Kanemaru and Despy taking on Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo. Now, as you know, Sho and Yo, this is their second defense as regaining these titles. As you know, they had to relinquish due to Yo's injury. But I have to say, this is going to be a very interesting thing what's going on. As you know, not a lot of the junior heavyweights have been involved in this particular events because of the restrictions. I hope things get lifted. We get more of the junior heavyweight contenders. I'm hoping they're bringing them all the way from Mexico because that's where we've been seen. Um, but I did not expect. I was kind of expecting Kanemaru and Despy to regain the titles, but not this time. I think they want to. I think they should switch it up because I'm gonna tell you anyway. Roppongi 3K retain the titles, but however, I think they might want to focus Despy as a singles competitor since he became the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. I say focus on that and have Kanemaru and Doiki work on their as tag team since they should be a junior heavyweight tag team. Tag team, that's what I would go for. So we'll see what time will tell with New Japan and their upcoming events they'll be throwing. So right now, let's just end it here with New Japan and move on with MLW. Okay, as you know, in the previous episode, I said I wasn't sure they're gonna have MLW, but this time there is. Next week will be the last one until they reemerge in Vice TV, as you may or may not have heard. But let's just go what they have right now before they end the entire season until they start a new one in July. It opened up with Dominic Guarini along with Kevin Koo taking on Ross Von Erich. I didn't think it was going to be that quick since he said he was on his way to Japan to train under KJ Muto. Rock Marshall was also there. In this particular match, you can tell Ross has learned and adapted new techniques that could help him. But of course, you got to ask yourself, what would Tom Lawler would do? Because of course, they try to say that violence is forever. That's what MLW needs. But however, this particular match, you would have assumed that Dominic Guarini would win, but in this time it did not. It did allow for Ross Von Erich to win. However, Tom Lawler was unhappy with the results, but he couldn't blame um, both Koo or Guarini due to the fact that he thinks all of this was Marshall Von Erich's fault since he was involved. He wasn't even touching the guy, but he has other tricks up his sleeve. Now, he actually called that corrupt ref who helped and make sure that the Caribbean title remained in Richard Holliday's waist, but this time he actually paid him, and that's something I will explain. What happened is he wanted to have a drug test because he thinks that he's bulked up with drugs, and then when the results came in, it was negative, and he tossed the urine right in his face. I thought it was a funny moment. Now, next thing we have is Hijo de la Park facing off Budaku. Now, as you know, Budaku had an impressive win against TJP, but however, Selena De Renta was with Hijo de LA Park. Apparently, there's been now a bit of disagreement. As you know, Selena De Renta defied the orders of El Jefe. He's not too happy with what she done, and of course, she feels like she doesn't need to respond. But she gave her one last shot to defeat Budaku to prove their worth. But in this case, you would have assumed LA Park was gonna Hijo de LA Park was gonna win, but this time it did not. Budaku has a lot of heart and he put a lot of fighting spirit and he actually finished him off the same way he did with TJP. However, Selena De La Renta knows what's coming up. Apparently, if she failed, she has to meet up with El Jefe. Now nobody knows who this guy is. But later on in the entire during the show, it was revealed that she was taken away by two masked men. Now we don't know what's the significance. Hopefully, we get to see what's gonna happen. I know that Los Parks did state, "You, Selena Dorento, you screwed up. You defied LF's orders. You're gonna regret it." So at least the Los Parks will remain loyal to El Jefe because he's given them the opportunities. But it's Selena De La Renta who's the one who has to answer for El Jefe. Now, throughout this entire time, there's been a lot of different opinions what's been going on. Now, Myron Reed is set to face Leo Rush for the middleweight title, but however, Leo Rush decided not to show up for some sort of video promos, and apparently it was revealed that he was fined for defying the top executives of MLW because, as you know, he has no desire to face against Myron, but he has no other choice, and that match will take place next week. Now, Hammerstone, as you know, since he's been now defended the national openweight championship, he's now been 2 years as the champion. But the real question remains: can he be the one to dethrone Jacob Fatu? Now, I don't know if Max Kruger still has any intentions to strip of Hammerstone from the national openweight title, but we'll see what happens. Now we get to the main event. This match is between Tom Lawler and Marshall Von Erich. Now you can guess that Tom Lawler has always a plan, and it worked. Now his true goal is to get rid of the Von Erichs once and for all. He did use like a wrench or whatever he was tossed to him to hurt the injured knee of Marshall, and it did allow for Lawler to win. But however, during the post match, they decided to beat down on both the Von Erichs. But luckily, a fellow in Texas showed up to give them the helping hand, and that fellow Texans was ACH. It's great to see him, but I'm sure this war between the Texans and Team Filthy is far, far from over. So that's it right now with MLW. We'll see what's going to happen next week. But right now, let's end the episode with AEW Dynamite. All right, AEW Dynamite. What a great show. I have to say, I liked it. The opening match they started out is Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. This match started out with a beatdown by all members of Team Taz. As you know, Taz acts like he thinks he deserves the well respected, wanted to send a message. Ricky Starks was unable to defeat Hangman Page. He's self-aware. Taz is self-aware that Hangman is the number one rank in the rankings. He could get a future title shot. Now I don't know what's the significance of that, but this entire match went to hell when it started before even the bell rang. Even Dark Order gave Hangman Page a helping hand. Now I don't know how Taz would feel when he bumps into -1, getting involved in something that doesn't concern him. But Taz wanted to make a statement. But I think the match went pretty well. But I think it was like the story saying, okay, Brian Cage, he's a monster. He deserves to be well recognized. But it's mostly feeling like Team Taz, like it's all about Taz. Even though Brian Cage won, but it's still more to come. Now, as you may or may not have heard, Kenny was responding after what happened last week when Moxley tried to run them over with their truck. Now he claims that he's not afraid, and all of a sudden we hear that they all freaked out, and that was not none other than MT Nakazawa being an idiot. But he did say, if you want me, Eddie Kingston, then you're gonna take Michael Nakazawa. So it was set up in a one-on-one match. Next match, we have a tag team match. We got Matt and Mike Sydal taking on the Young Bucks. Now, keep in mind, this is an eliminator match. If the Sydal brothers win, they get a shot of the AEW tag team titles against the Bucks. The match was pretty well, but however, you can tell like the Bucks are back to their old selves that they used to be. But however, I think this is kind of building up for more who will be the ones to dethrone the Bucks. But the way this match ended is when uh, Matt Jackson pulled off a Johnny Cage. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm referring to, if you guys ever seen the Mortal Kombat game, there's the moment where Johnny Cage does the splits and whapow right in the groin. So that's what he did, and that kind of gave the helping hand that they needed to win. Ref didn't see it, so the Bucks retained won the match. However, they were confronted by their old rivals, the SCU. They are sick and tired of them, and they believe that they will be the ones to dethrone them. Now, keep in mind, if you have been following SCU, you know for a fact SCU could be if they lose the match against, excuse me, if they lose the match against the Bucks, they have to disband, which this is a whole lot of pressure. Now, I know we may expect these two teams to face off for the titles, but the real question is, when will that happen? Now, the next match we have Orange Cassidy taking along with Trent taking on Penta. This was another fun match to watch because Orange Cassidy that he puts his hand in his pocket. There was a moment that you can tell that somehow Penta was about to break his arm, but he couldn't because uh, Orange put his hands in his pockets. Now, once again, when you look at the match, it seems like it's going to be in favor of Orange Cassidy. Once again, Alex got in the way, but however, Orange Cassidy did not let this get in the way. He knows what was at stake, but he did one really good. Basically, it was already over. Now, next thing we have is another interview with Tony Schiavone with Britt Baker. As you know, she is the number one contender in the top of the ranks to face for the AEW Women's title. Now, we know there's been a lot of talk about this. Other YouTuber channels that I've been following that stated that ever since that lights out match, Britt should go for the AEW Women's title. Now, we could see that coming very soon, but the real question is, when did it happen? Now, if I was a betting man, I would go for Double or Nothing because that's like a very significant event. Let's see what's next. Then we have a little parlay. As you know, they were going to have a coin toss to determine who will be the first one to enter in the Blood and Guts match. Now, if you guys are familiarized with what a Blood and Guts match is, this is similar to the War Games that WCW have, where there's, well, now that NXT is doing it, where there's two rings and one cage. So basically, what happened, Spears wasn't going to have it. He even had some harsh words to say about Sammy, all this and that. But however, Sammy said, "You know what? You want to take this one? Go ahead. I'll go first." So every last one of every member from the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle had some things to say, you know. But it's Jericho who said this, I was your age before. I was 25. I headlined arenas in Mexico, Japan, England. So basically, that's kind of like you're looking in the mirror that MJF claims that he has accomplished more. But here's the thing. That's how Jericho is. They're like similar. But he did tell them, if you want my spot, all you got to do is kill me. So we'll see what happens in Bloods and Guts. That's going to take place next week. Now, it was supposed to be a match. It was MT Nakazawa, or it was Noah Michael taking on Eddie Kingston. This entire thing went upside down. As you know, he tried to break. Kenny was saying he doesn't care if he has sacrificed Nakazawa as a sacrificial lamb. But he even called Brandon Cutler to help, but he got attacked by another John Moxley. And basically, he even they both Kingston and Moxley threatened Don Callis in a way that's so funny, where they threaten to break his ankle if they don't give him what they want. So Moxley said, "I want a tag team match, me and Kingston against Kenny and Nakazawa." So he told them to say yes. So basically, that kind of put them in a very good spot. So we'll see what happens. That's going to take place next week as well. Hold on. Let's see what I got here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, as you know, Team Taz is proud of himself because of Cage winning against Hangman. But however, he had another visit with someone that he thought also said he's disrespectful to him. That person is Christian. Now, Christian had these good, compelling arguments because he did state it. You talk more about yourself. You feel like you, because he said that I was injured and I came back 7 years later. And he said that you could have had that chance, but you didn't. You decided to use other people for your own personal needs. And that's what he kind of made. But he said, how long would it take until they start turning on you? So that like is a pretty good harsh words to say, like telling you want to say that you've been disrespected. But how long will it take until you realize you couldn't succeed more than you could have hoped for back then? So that's kind of like the message he's saying. This next match was a very interesting one. We had Penelope Ford along with Kip taking on Chris Statlander along with Orange. This is also another match where, as you know, it was Penelope got injured in the match with Penelope, but however, it was Kip Sabian that got in the way, costing her 10 months being a sideline. But I love how this match ended with Chris Statlander won. She finally got the victory to prove a point. So it was all over. But however, things didn't go exactly in favor for Kip. As soon as the match was over, there were concerns over the fact that Miro was there. Now, Miro was not too happy that he got himself involved in this arcade anarchy, but he did it anyway for Kip. But he beat him like a twig because he said that all he ever wants is to be a champion. That's his main goal. I don't know what Kip was thinking when he first brought him in. So I like the story of like, oh, he's the meanest guy, and you brought him in, Kip. He's pissed. You should have seen this one coming. But the real question is he really your friend like you think he is? So I think that's the question that's going to go around. I think they could build up a rivalry with this one. I'm not sure, but we'll see where they're going to go. Now, this next match is a 6-man tag team match. We have QT Marshall, Nick Camarado, and Aaron Solo taking on the Nightmare Family, Billy Gunn, and Lee Johnson and Dustin Rhodes. The match was an intense rivalry, but however, there is another factor that got in the way. Anthony Ogogo. As soon as things were finished in favor of the factory, both Colt and Austin Gunn show up to get payback against QT, but here comes the rest of the team. Basically became a melee. Now, as soon as QT was leaving, there was a figure in the bus, and it was Cody. So basically, the rivalry continues, and it goes on top of the bus when Cody put QT in a figure 4 leg lock. He wanted this match to he wanted Cody, so he finally got it. But what's going to happen? Who is going to come on top? So we'll see that, and I think that match will be next week as well. Now, the biggest news came around once again. The Forbidden Door is opening once again. This time, we have a sanction match coming from New Japan. Jon Moxley, if you guys have been aware or not, he is going to put the IWGP United States title on the line against Blue Justice, Yuji Nagata. So it's exciting to see a veteran, a legend, if coming from Japan. This is going to be interesting. Now, this is my biggest surprise that I expected. I know that seeing Kenta was huge, but allowing New Japan to allow Moxley to sanction one of their titles in an AEW uh, ring. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit later on this episode to explain something that kind of bothered me, so you guys can understand. Now, let's get to the main event. This is for the TNT title between Ten and Darby Allin. This is one of those matches that Darby is willing to put this title on the line, but prove that has a legacy to honor Brody Lee and what way the pick 10. I have to say the match was great. Even the Dark Order were trying to get close to Darby, but they want no piece of Sting. Once again, Ethan Page shows up, trying to get involved. But I did not expect a whole lot in this match. I have to say, it showed resilience of a fighting champion by Darby. He won by pinning, uh, of course, uh, 10 and in a way that he couldn't expect. Now, as soon as the match was over, 10 he grabs 10's armrest and has the armband that says Brody. So basically, it was more like they're paying respect. Now, as soon as the Dark Order left, all of a sudden here comes Sky and Page, Ethan Page, taking care of both Darby Allin and Sting. So this is kind of like one of those things that we did not expect. That okay, what is the rivalry between them? We know that they may have a problem with Darby, but what's with Sting? Maybe he feels they say, okay, we're gonna take our spot. We're gonna beat Sting's butt off. That's what they think. But however, 10 and Lance Archer showed up to give the helping hand. But are we going to expect Sting and Darby Allin in a match? I don't know, but I could count that we're going to see that. Now, before the episode ended, I decided, I'm going to just explain what I'm talking about, the Forbidden Door, and let's do that right now. All right. You may have known recently that Consejo Mundial Lucha Libre, or CM, are no longer Ring of Honor. Now, this leads to the bigger question right now to me in this particular matter. What does this mean with the relationship with New Japan? Are they going to also cut ties with Ring of Honor? Now, me and Nico have talked about this before. We talked about, I feel that Ring of Honor are not giving themselves a good platform. I mean, look, they got amazing talent. There's no denying about that. But we hardly see certain wrestlers like going to Japan. I know back in 2019, if you guys haven't forgotten, there was a big problem that took place at the G1 Supercard. Ring of Honor failed to notify New Japan Pro Wrestling that there was going to be a tag team making their appearance. We're talking about Enzo Amore and, of course, Big Cass. The New Japan officials were unhappy. You hardly see anybody recently for the past couple years from New Japan appearing. And you also wonder another thing. Okada never makes appearances in Ring of Honor. But right now, we're seeing New Japan making headways in AEW. We saw Kenta not too long ago attack Moxley to face him for the IWGP United States title at New Japan Strong. And now we're seeing Yuji Nagata making his appearance at AEW on May 12th. But this time they're allowing the sanction. Now, do I see New Japan could be making a partnership with AEW? I would say I feel they're considering it. Now, keep in mind, you say, okay, J-Rod, what do you mean they're considering? Let's keep in mind. Ring of Honor doesn't stand out too much. They are not making a bigger headways like they normally do. But you look at AEW, they have a much bigger platform than Ring of Honor. And that is something we can't agree. Now, New Japan were not wanted to work with them because of the previous president, Harold Mage. As you know, they were upset at the fact that Kenny chose to go with AEW, and that kind of played out in its own way. But now that he's gone, we could most likely see that. I know many fans want to see New Japan stars go to AEW. Now, who would I like to see go to AEW? I can say I have like two or perhaps three in mind. One, the Ace, Tanahashi. Two, Naito. Or three, the Rainmaker, Okada. I would love to see any of those three guys go to AEW. That would make AEW stand out more, but also give much exposure to the AEW fans that don't know New Japan. It would be a helpful thing. Because here's the thing, we do know that New Japan are trying to expand in the Western, but we could see that come down in any way possible. But all we gotta do is be patient and see where they're gonna go with this. So I hope all of you guys enjoyed this episode, me reviewing these three shows, and also give you guys my opinion about possible we could see AEW and New Japan work together, but only time will tell. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah! And have a nice day. Bang!